Looking at this blue E80 3rd generation Civic kind of makes me want to start a Honda Civic project for myself as well.
Hi, my name is Daniel. I'm not from the Midnight Garage, but I'm just a friend of Ruben. So we just picked up a pretty old school white Honda Civic. It's from 1980 or something. I don't know. Yeah, it is driving, so that's good. That's a good thing, I guess. It was pretty cheap, and it came with a lot of garbage, as you can see here in the back. So yeah, that's it.
New project car, yeah, picked it up with Dania. So for those of you who know that I have owned a lot of Hondas, and there are in fact 2 Hondas that I still haven't owned yet that I want to own. One of those Hondas is a which I'm currently looking for and planning to buy real soon, and the second one is a 3rd generation Honda Civic. Now, I said to my friends, like, I want to buy a 3rd generation Civic sometime sooner or later in the future, I don't really care, but it has to be a manual version and it has to be a white one. And they are really hard to find. I mean, 3rd generation Honda Civics, they are pretty hard to find in Holland. White 3rd generation Honda Civics, even harder, and white manual 3rd generation Honda Civics, those are the absolute worst to find. So when this car came up for sale, Dylan tagged me and I was like, yeah, that's basically exactly what I need. And even though I don't really want to buy a car right now, I'm going to get that because it's really rare and it's really cheap. Holland has some pretty weird laws when it comes to tax, and this, for example, is a transition period oldtimer. What that means is that it's older than 1988, but not 40 years old. And because of that, you have to pay 3 months of tax each year. And that means that if you do that, you can drive the car for almost the entire year, but you have to make sure that the car does not get driven in December, in January and February. From March on, you can drive it again. Other than that, you can drive it anywhere you like. That's being done because a lot of people, they found out that if you drive an old-timer, you don't have to pay any tax and you can drive anywhere. So everybody started driving really old cars. And then the government said, we're going to change it up a little bit. Therefore, transition period, tax-free, whatever car. It's kind of weird. I didn't really buy it for that reason. I just bought it because it looks really cool. I mean, look at that flat rear end. That's just weird and awesome. So, what am I going to do with the car? I'm going to turn it into a Kanjo racer, and when I say Kanjo racer, I of course mean a Kanjo styled car, because I know that this is not an actual Kanjo racer. I will not ship this to Osaka to run the loop a couple of times. I'll just keep it here in Holland. This is a fun little project on the side, and that's it. So there's no need to get angry and type some hate messages in the comments. I know, okay? I've already owned a real Kanjo racer in the past before, and that's enough for me. But yeah, this is a fun little project on the side. The history is already there, because this car has been owned by 070 Racing. A prominent member from 070 Racing actually sold it to me. And for those who don't know, 070 Racing is, well, about the most, well, the closest comparison to a No Good Racing or a Temple Racing here in Holland. Now, I don't know if they actually race this car. I don't really care either way. But yeah, it's a fun car and it's going to be a fun project. If you have seen my Kanjo racers at the Osaka Automess video, you've probably seen a couple of 3rd generation Civics, and then you've also seen that they all didn't have a rear interior. So I probably need to do the same, but I kinda don't really want to, because the 3rd generation Honda Civic rear seat is actually one of the coolest rear seats there is, because look at this. I can adjust the seat, the reclining. I mean, how many cheap cars have reclining and adjustable rear seats? And not only that, if I want to adjust them and I think like, I need a little bit more space or a little bit less space, I can slide them forwards and backwards as well, which is something they stopped doing with the 4th generation, and it's a real shame, I think, because it's a pretty cool function. You will see later in the video if I decide to retain the rear seat or remove them, but anyways, now it's time to start. Now, one thing that I'm very annoyed with is the fact that it has a black center garnish. If you had the proper ones, then they had a red clear plastic center garnish, so basically you have one big mono tail light instead of two separate ones, which I think look a whole lot better. So I haven't found one yet because they're very rare and very expensive, and I just got the car, but a few years ago I did have a contingency plan that is this red garnish that I've wrapped in reflective red a few years ago. So I'm just going to put that on there. I think that will look a whole lot better. What do you think? Yeah, that looks a bit better. Still need to look for the real deal though, but it will do for now. One of the first things that I wanted to do is to convert the taillights to LED. Now I wanted to keep the original look of the taillights, but I just wanted to convert it a little bit. The indicators have been converted to LED and the fog lights are turned to LED as well. Those kind of look like stock, but as you can see, the brake light is basically a double horizontal version, whereas you have one horizontal beam when you just have your taillights on and one horizontal beam when you have your brake lights on. I thought that just looked pretty cool. If you have seen the video about my JDM Honda CRX, you know that I'm a big fan of Mugen, so naturally for the Honda Civic I'm gonna go with some Mugen wheels as well. These are CF48 Mugen wheels, they're 14-inch. They don't have the aero covers. I might be able to get them somewhere, but as of now they're just going to be like this, and that's okay because these wheels just look awesome. Since I want to go for a little bit of a Japanese feel on this car, I traded my long plate for a more rectangular plate. Now these are actually a little bit too tall, so I folded the bottom half and now it kind of looks like a Japanese plate. Here, wait. Yeah, that's about good enough for me. I would like to do the same in the back, but as you can see I have a European bumper, and the European bumper is made for a long license plate, and I do not want to have the long license plate on the car. So what I could do is either import a bumper from Japan or from America. Those are about $300 plus $700 plus shipping plus 30% import tax, so that's about $1,200, so that's kind of expensive. But I did do some looking online and I found this. This is a Evate rear bumper, one of the last ones that are still new old stock. And as you can see, it has a hole for a small license plate, so I can fit my square license plate there. I'm going to tilt it once again and it will look a little bit more Japanese than the bumper I have on there right now. Now I am going to cut it across the edges about here, because I think those holes are a little bit too late 90s rise, and hopefully if I do a bumper cut on there it looks a little bit more stock, although I'm going to keep those creases here so it kind of looks like a diffuser. Hopefully it will look good, otherwise oh well, it's only like the last Evate bumper new old stock that I could find in Europe, so it's not like it's a big deal or anything. So I will cut it across the black line. Hopefully it will do good. Either way, you will see it in about 5 seconds. Well, it looks good. It's not great. Fitment was terrible, but I kind of like the way the diffuser area looks, and it's definitely good enough for me. But yeah, there are two bolts here that are installed inside. I don't really like that, but there is nowhere to install it otherwise. But yeah, new bumper, nice. Right now I'm working on the livery. Now I can be all like, ooh, what's this livery going to be? But you've seen the thumbnail and you already know that it's going to be a Rothmans livery. Now, at this point, I don't even know how the car is going to look when it's done, but you guys do already, so lucky bastards. Now, this livery is mainly inspired by a Benny Maxwell rendering from a couple of years ago. I really liked that, but I thought it looked a little bit too modern. So I took some aspects from the Mugen Motul race car and the Rothmans Motul BMW. And of course the Rothmans race bike. So I combined everything a little bit together, made it period correct, and that's the livery I'm going to rock on this car. It's something a little bit different. Of course I would love to have the Mugen Motul race car, but everybody already does that on the 3rd generation Civic, so I wanted to do something else. Most of this car has been wrapped, but the only thing that hasn't been wrapped is the front bumper. That is because if you want to wrap the front bumper in a uniform color, blue in this case, then you need to do it in multiple pieces, especially with that molding going across the bumper. And I thought that that would look ugly. So I asked Dylan to paint it for me, and as you can see, he just brought it back and it looks a whole lot better than I expected. So thank you, Dylan, I'm very happy with that. I am currently installing the front lip. It is a Doobie Sport front lip, which is from Japan and one of the few lips you can get for this 3rd generation Honda. Hopefully it will look good. Now, you've seen before in the video that I put a red reflective garnish as a center garnish instead of the black one, but I thought it was a little bit too bright, so now I've tinted it as well, and now it matches a whole lot more with the rest of the tail lights. Right now I am working on test fitting the spoiler. It is an Osaka JDM Devil Wing. I wanted to pick up this spoiler directly from 5 Mart myself, but as you guys remember from the video, link in the description, they weren't there. Even though they were supposed to be open, they weren't there, so I couldn't pick it up. So then I had to get this spoiler shipped. And yeah, an Osaka JDM spoiler is quite expensive to ship worldwide. Cost me another $200 just to get it shipped, while I could have brought it with me as well, which kind of sucks. By the way, fitment is terrible. There are like huge gaps here in between on both sides. And maybe the Zero Fighter spoiler is better than the Osaka JDM spoiler. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, it's the best you can get for this very rare chassis, in my opinion, so I'll just stick to this one. As you can see, I wanted to do a wire tuck, and that's what I did. So this is how the engine bay looks right now. Now, I wanted to make a separate how-to video on that, how to wire tuck a 3rd generation Honda Civic, but once I got started I noticed that it was 99% the same as a 4th generation Honda Civic. So the way you need to route everything, the holes where you need to go through and everything else, it's all the same as the 4th generation Honda Civic. And since I already have a 4th generation Honda Civic video on the channel, you can just check out that instead. But yeah, that's just how the engine bay looks right now. Obviously I'm going to swap the engine later on, but that's not going to happen in this video. You have probably seen that I've tucked the battery as well. It's moved here to the back in the rear wheel well. If you look closely, you can see that there's a connector here. This is in fact a C-Tech connector. If you've seen the update on my garage, you know that I've got C-Tech connectors hidden away in my garage. So if I want to store this car for a longer period, I can just hook it up to the C-Tech connector here and it will keep the battery charged, because this is a gel battery, and what that means is if it goes under 6 volts, it's instantly gone, it's instantly wrecked and you can't use it anymore. Now, I've also got rid of all the tar mats. That's really easy. It took me like 4 minutes, and yeah. There's a how-to video on my channel if you want to do this, because everybody just keeps saying, oh, you need to use dry ice, and you really don't need to do that. As for the rest of the interior, I got a Momo steering wheel. This is one of my favorite steering wheels. I also got some Mugen pedals. I personally really like Mugen pedals. Then I also got a Mugen gear knob. Now this one's fake, unfortunately, it's from AliExpress. I'm very sorry. And then I got a Honda logo sensor console. This one bolts right up into a 3rd generation. It's actually from a 1996-2001 Honda logo. It's sold in Japan and it's sold in Europe, and I think like the electrical version has been sold in America as well, but I'm not quite sure about that. It even fits a third generation style switch, so if I ever need to hook something up there as well, it would be no problem. Then for the seats, I wasn't quite sure what to get, so I really like a Recaro, so I got a Recaro. But then again, a Bride would be nice as well, so I got a Bride as well. It's Bride Kuga. And if I want to look what's behind me, I got this massive rear view mirror. If you're driving around with an aftermarket steering wheel, it might be a little bit hard for you to reach the indicator. Now, my good friends at No Good Racing, which is a racing team you've probably heard about, they got me this. This is a No Good Racing indicator extender. It goes on a little something like this. Obviously I need to tighten it, but like this, it is just a little bit easier to use your indicator. And I thought it was pretty cool. It was a gift from No Good Racing and I'm very happy about that. Thank you guys. And today I got the last part in for this project, at least for this video. And that is a window net. Ooh. To install a window net, originally you are supposed to install it right here, and you have these buckles and you can connect it to your roll cage up and down. I got about 5 of them, and then you can install it properly. But as you can see, I do not have a roll cage yet, so I cannot do that. Now, with my previous Kanjo inspired EK, the red with silver one, I had installed it here and I had connected it to the door, but that was really annoying every time you wanted to get in and out of the car, because you know your head would get stuck in the window net. So what I've done right now is I've used some double-sided tape and I've used some Velcro, and now I can connect it to the door like this. Now obviously, if you want a better fitting one, you need to get a Zero Fighter one. Those are the best ones, and yeah, I can hit myself in the head for not buying one when I was at Zero Fighter. But yeah, these ones will do well enough for now. And as you can see, it does look pretty good. The car is done enough for now. Now it is time to take it for a spin.
Cause all of the waves, they keep chasing after me. Even though we are out of reach, I can feel the water on my feet. The things that you said to me, they will grow inside, they make believe. I am still dancing on the feelings that you gave me. I am still dancing on the feelings that you gave me.
We have reached the end of the video. Now, early on I said that I bought this car for a special reason, and I would show you guys what that reason is at the end of the video, so here we are. Now, if you are an avid viewer, you've probably noticed that although this car probably looks pretty fast right now, it is running on stock tires. It has stock brakes, cut rear springs, it has a full stock suspension set, a stock engine which produced, I believe, 71 horsepower from factory in 1986. So I have no idea how much of those horsepower is left, and I haven't done any maintenance to the car whatsoever. So saying that it's slow is probably an understatement. Now, I am planning to revitalize an old YouTube series we had on this channel about 2 years ago, which was called Does It Matter? Now, you might remember that we've only did one episode of that YouTube series, so it's quite a series. But let me tell you what happened behind the scenes. Case donated a car for that series, which was one of his it was right-hand drive, but it was one of his EG sedans, the white one. And therefore he was kind of the executive producer on that series. Yes. And when we wanted to start the series, Case said like, yeah, I'm kind of afraid that you guys are going to wreck my engine and I need the engine for my over 9,000 right-hand drive EG sedan build. So I'm fine with you guys making the videos as long as I'm doing the driving myself, so that if I wreck it myself, which was perfectly fair. Yes. So we did one video. And then we wanted to make more videos, but then every time we wanted to plan it, Case was like, no, I can't do it then because I have this and that. And well, if you guys don't know, Case has a very busy schedule. So long story short, we never really had the time to make more videos, and therefore for us it wasn't really feasible anymore. And we pulled the plug after only one video, which was a complete shame. Yes. But that's okay. Now I have another Honda, and once again it's completely stock. Well, the previous one wasn't, so this one's actually even better. And it has a stripped out interior, which was the first episode. So I can basically pick up where we left off on the last time. And that's what we are going to do for the video. Now, if you haven't noticed, I quite like the car. So since most cars that I tend to own are right-hand drive, I'm probably going to convert this to right-hand drive as well later on. But that's just something for later. But yeah, that's it for today. I hope you guys liked it. Leave a like if you did, and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this. And then hopefully we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.